I think these days there might be some misconceptions when it comes to the term self-sufficiency. It has become very popular also online, where people are promoting a life where you become completely independent from the system. According to the Cambridge Dictionary, self-sufficiency can be defined as the quality or state of being able to provide everything you need, especially food, without the help of other people or countries. Maybe it has to do with the connotation that this word has gotten over time for me personally, but the more I ponder about it, the more the term itself doesn't sit right with me anymore, and so I want to explore this a little deeper. Before doing so, I want to be very clear that I believe it's a very beautiful thing that more and more people are waking up to the fact that there is more that they can do on a practical level. This yearning for a more slow, simple life on the land, taking responsibility of your own food produce and energy, I believe is very meaningful and also just a fulfilling aspect of our human experience. We live in a world and a culture where you see people losing touch with the natural world and all the basic skills. So I believe it's very valuable, even necessary, to keep those skills and connections alive. But so in the end, it's all about relationships, and therefore maybe the term to me sounds kind of obsolete, where I feel it's kind of missing an awareness or an acknowledgement of our interdependence, like they say. I often get the impression when people online talk about how self-sufficient they are, a part of the equation is left out. Some already using the term when they grow their own rosemary and spinach, or calling their garden self-sufficient. And though it's really exciting when you start to become less dependent on, for instance, the grocery store, I wouldn't necessarily call that self-sufficient. But maybe that's even besides the point, as I don't think that we ever can be nor should strive to become fully self-sufficient. To stay with the garden example, you might come to believe that gardens just maintain themselves, and to be honest, I never saw such a garden. If you would let your garden be and let it so-called sustain itself, eventually it becomes like this. And when you wait a little longer, it just becomes a forest. And no, not necessarily the forest that is densely packed with fruits hanging and you just eating and picking your way through. There are numerous accounts of, for example, indigenous people who lived in and with nature in a way that they could live from it. They knew how to interact with their natural surroundings, and so it wasn't the untouched natural ecosystem itself that was providing them with food, but because they understood how to read and tend it and how to care for it, by shaping the landscape with respect and in alignment, they created conditions to be able to live from it. But this all came from a deep understanding of their dependence on the land and on each other. Maybe the term self-sufficiency and the way it is pictured and practiced is an illustration of a systemic thing. If you look at our broader culture, speaking about the West, it has become hyper-individualistic and also hyper-focused on the self. This combined with the fact that in this day and age a lot of people woke up to the fact that in a way we are enslaved, trapped in a system that feeds off our dependence, autonomy became almost like the highest good. And so it is no wonder that this so-called self-sustaining lifestyle is attractive to a lot of people and celebrated by all these homesteaders, where they might think that they're moving away from an oppressive system, while maybe continuing the same narration of that very system by, be it unintended, still operating from a place of separation and division. And while it is very true that you only can be there and take care of others and have a positive impact when your own cup is filled, I think we shouldn't forget that we are dependent on others as well. On top of that, by being constantly bombarded with insights in other people's lives and fragments of their worldviews, it can become confusing as to understand the choices we make, the lifestyles we aspire. I mean, I love all things that have to do with becoming more resilient, but maybe that might be a better wording, as it implies more something that you work towards little by little, step by step, and it also leaves room for a sense of connectedness. I feel that we're kind of gaslighting ourselves when we say that we are self-sufficient or that this is even something that we could obtain or would be desirable. I no longer believe that the goal is to become this independent human being that doesn't need anything from anyone or the outside world. We depend on the sun, on the soil, the waters, the bees that pollinate our crops, the air and the souls around us. And so I noticed at one point that I was maybe striving for a life that felt like breaking free from something and coming closer to myself. But at the same time, I was struggling with a feeling of always falling short by believing that true freedom was complete independence and that I had to prove that I could do all this on my own. I understand where this need for self-sufficiency for me came from, as I guess we all in some way or another carry the experience from when we were very little and we were not being met in our needs, and therefore it wasn't safe to be this little dependent human being. Internally, we might have come to the conclusion that it was better to not need anyone else once we grew up. And then we develop all these mechanisms to protect ourselves. And for me, that tied very well into this so-called trends of self-sufficiency. And of course, it's not black and white. I mean, it's more complex and multifaceted than that, because there is also a healthy part in me that naturally wants to live a life where I can discover how capable I am, and the satisfaction and fulfillment that stems from inventing and creating and fixing things with your own two hands is very real. But it can also be a pitfall when one doesn't really know if the choices that are made are coming from a genuine place or if they're made out of fear or coming from trauma. And there is also massive programming where we have to keep asking ourselves, what is really ours to do? Are the choices coming from a genuine place, or do we shape our lives influenced by these programs that were suggested to us over and over again? I mean, why do we have this urge to not have to rely on others? Is it coming from the healthy part that just enjoys gardening and providing and feeling competent? Or is there more that drives us underneath the surface? Because in the end, we can have our off-grid solar systems, and we can have our own firewood, our livestock and our permaculture gardens, but when the sun is not rising, when there are no bees left, when extreme weather conditions occur, or when our health declines, when unforeseen things happen, what do we do? I think I am seeing now that there is strength and beauty in reaching out and allowing myself again to be reliant on others, as I'm on a path of learning to not live from the place of survival mechanisms anymore. A lot of pressure also falls away when we realize that we don't need to figure everything out on our own. We don't need to prove our worth by showing the world that we can take care of ourselves. There is no need in trying to become this invincible, unwavering, autarkic island. Could it be that the actual key to freedom lies in recognizing our strengths but also our vulnerabilities? And that interdependency and interconnectedness is not something to be ashamed of or to overcome, but will help us to root into relationships and cultivate more resiliency. And that from there, we might find our way and belongingness back into this web of life and maybe move towards a together resiliency.